And he goes on to say, no more mourning. Never again will we be saddened by the loss of a loved one in death. An absolute promise from our Creator, Jehovah God. Look how he guarantees it in verse 5 of Revelation. In verse 5 of Revelation 21, he says, and the one seated on the throne, that is Jehovah God, said, look, I am making all things new. Also, he says, write, for these words are faithful and true. Did you notice his powerful declaration? He's making all things new. He's not patching up this old system. It's going to be gone, and his new world order will be here. And then he says, these words are faithful and true. He guarantees life-giving blessings to obedient mankind. You know, sometimes when we think about a verbal promise from human beings, maybe they'll follow through. Sometimes if it's really important, we might get it notarized as a document so that it's legal. Well, Jehovah God's declaration is a divine guarantee. How do we know that? Because the Apostle Paul tells us that Jehovah God cannot lie. The new world that he promises is absolutely certain to come about. Well, some might think, well, Brother Anderson, that sounds wonderful for the future, but what about right now? How do I cope in this system that's war-torn, violence, crime, health problems, economic problems? How do I endure through all of this right now? That's a fair question. Many people today, in order to push that aside and not think about it or acknowledge it, engage in a variety of pursuits to find meaning in life. Immerse themselves in their secular work, hoping that's where they fill that need for purpose in life. Many strive after money, hoping to get enough money so they feel safe and feel secure in this system. Other people seek prominence in athletics or entertainment or science just to make a name for themselves so that when they do die, they might have a little plaque up on the wall with their name on it. It's sad that those who seek satisfaction in these areas to fill that need for purpose, they find themselves disappointed. It doesn't feel that need. King Solomon, who was known for his wisdom and his immense wealth, in chapter 2 of the book of Ecclesiastes, reflected on the pursuit of pleasures, wealth, and fame to fulfill that need for purpose. And he found that those things did not bring about satisfaction in life. Why? Because they were never meant to be our main purpose in life. Turn with me to the book of Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes chapter 12. And there we're going to read how Solomon summed it up in verse 13. In Ecclesiastes 12 and 13, he says, the conclusion of the matter, everything having been heard, is fear the true God and keep his commandments. For this is the whole obligation of man. He tells us that our main duty in order to be fulfilled with a purpose in life is to fear the true God and follow his commandments. We can illustrate it this way. Think about when we went to Calgary and you had to find your way around to get to the convention. No doubt GPS came in handy. You avoided maybe traffic jams or road construction, and you got to the convention safely. Well, just like GPS can guide us to our destination, fearing God and keeping his commandments provides purposeful direction in our lives right now and leads us to everlasting life. It helps us to avoid all those pitfalls in life, and eventually we get to the end of the system in that new order. That hope can also sustain us now and help us to endure, because this system is ending. It doesn't have long, and it's gonna be over. So if we embrace that hope that Jehovah promises us, we're going to be in that new world. The 37th Psalm absolutely promises that. Turn with me to Psalm 37. And there we're going to read verse 34. It says, hope in Jehovah and follow his way. If we do that, if we hope in him and follow his way, what will happen? And he will exalt you to take possession of the earth. Yes, if we hope in Jehovah, his promise of that wonderful future on this earth in a paradise will absolutely take place. Think back to the home we talked about building for our families. We start by laying down that foundation. At first, the structure seems incomplete. The work seems slow. It seems challenging. But if we follow that plan, that blueprint, we know eventually that home will be built.